This is why you need a budget today, and I'm gonna help you get rich quick and get a lovely fancy pen that is solid 18 karat gold, just kidding, and that is Mont Blanc, just kidding, and that is gold with silver. This is why you need a budget. Why do you need a budget? Now, disclaimer, I ain't a financial professional, but what I can say is that I have 3 beautiful pens as a function of keeping a great budget. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it and exactly why you need to keep a budget. Now, I want you to imagine a scenario. You get paid $100 million or 100 million rand, depending on where you are. You look at your bank account and you see a 1 followed by all those zeros, 0, 0, 0, 0. And you are just exploding in your mind, thinking, what the actual frick happened to me? Now, Robert Kiyosaki would say, at that very moment, you are motivated by 2 things, and also before you have the money, by fear and by desire. What is the fear aspect? The fearful aspect is, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to put my kids through school? Where am I going to get food from? And that motivates people, maybe you, to get a normal job, to accept a low wage, to work and give up your time for money. But then there's the desire. In Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, people don't like it, but I think there are a couple of good ideas. There's a kid who approaches the businessman wanting to learn. The businessman pays him an hourly wage, $1. But over time, the kid realizes that he's being paid slave wages. And over time, he doesn't actually accept that low pay that he gets. This little kid goes to the businessman and says, please increase my wage, I want to earn more. So angry. The businessman decides to teach him a lesson. He says to the kid, okay, I want you to tell me when to stop. And he starts increasing the wage from $1 to $2 to $5. Now this little kid's thinking, $5? I can get comic books. I can take my friends to the movies. Wow, that's a lot of money. But he holds out and he doesn't accept the price. This businessman goes up to $10, $20, $50. And slowly but surely, this kid's realizing, if I get more money, I can just buy more things, comic books, I can have more food, I can go and enjoy stuff, and go bowling with my friends. But he holds out and he never accepts any price, because he realizes the lesson that the rich dad, the businessman, was trying to teach him. That the poor people, or the poor, are motivated not just by fear, but by desire. As their price and as their money increases, they only think of how they can spend more. This shirt, thank goodness, was given to me as a gift. But this would be a couple $100. But I also fell into the trap of not keeping a budget. And like that little kid, I was motivated by not just fear, but by the desire to have more money and buy more things. But I realized something. Let's go back to having $100 million. If you have $100 million, you can go buy a private jet for 20, and then the rest of the 80 can go to a house, nice food, and a couple of supercars. And then your money is finished. So it doesn't matter how much you have. It's all about setting a budget. Let me explain. If we have $10,000 in a stock market, or forget about the stock market, in a low risk savings account, $10,000, and we put it in there at 5% over the entire year, every single month, it's $41.80. You can work it out. If it's at 5%, we divide it by 12. 1,000 divided by 12, 41 Rand and 80 cents. So then, Robert Kiyosaki would say, how do you get wealthier? All you need to do is find out how much cash flow income is being produced by your assets, which could be a savings account, which is the lowest risk of them all and guaranteed, and it makes sense. And then live with less than that cash flow. That's the basis of setting a budget. Now, I've heard this one idiot, he was telling me about how he earns money, $10,000 or whatever, quite a high. And he was telling me that of his high wage, what he does is he follows the 50, 30, 20 rule. So in total, it's 100%. 50% goes to spending on things that he claims he needs, which probably means paying off his house or paying off his rent of apartment, which is fair if you need a place to stay. It goes towards his food, and it probably goes towards a car that he's renting. So those are the things that, according to him, he needs. But then the 30% goes to things that he wants, and 20% he blows it. He blows it on alcohol, on, don't want to say drugs because he doesn't buy drugs, but on cigars, on whatever else he wants to do, on holidays. But the thing is, if you earn 10,000 Rand, you can only spend 41 and 80 cents. So immediately saying 50% of that from 10,000 is 5,000 when your cash flow is only 41 Rand 80 cents. And you're telling me it's a good idea to go spend 5,000 plus the 30% to things that, that you just want to go and save the 20% you want to blow. That to me is stupid. That is absolute idiocy. So when it comes to setting a budget, not only is it important to know how much you have and how much you earn, but how much cash flow is being produced by your assets. There are 4 ways people make money. The first is that they trade their time for money. This is what most people do. If I worked as a waiter or if I worked as a flight attendant, I would get paid per wage. If I worked as a builder, per every hour that I spend building. But the second way you can make money is giving information for money. So for example, this beautiful video can go to you. It can go to the person next door, your neighbor. One product, one video can go to so many people, and that's selling information for money. Then the third way, sorry, I'm getting quite excited, that people make money is they sell a product or service. But I find that selling a product or service is getting increasingly difficult, because the trouble is that, let's say we take maize. In South Africa, we have maize. And there's one particular company, I don't know exactly what the name is, but they control the maize production, the selling and distribution of maize. They put it in all the different shops and all the different grocery stores. So it's very hard if I or if you wanted to start a maize factory and start selling maize in the shops, you would have to compete with them. So if you wanted to sell a product or service, then it's difficult for you to integrate into the market because there are already all these players. I've said a long time ago, I was reading a book called Finding My Virginity / Losing My Virginity, 2 versions that Richard Branson wrote. And what he was saying was that he started Virgin Atlantic. I do believe it's called Virgin Atlantic, which was his airline. And what happened was all these big airlines, particularly British Airways, started running themselves, their own airline at a loss, just so they could undercut him and remove his competition. So even when you are at the level of Richard Branson, trying to start an airline, and you have the Boeings, and you have the money and the capital, and you have the drive, the vision, people believe in you, it can still be next to impossible to break into the market. Luckily, he was able to push through and look at Virgin Atlantic today. I do think it is a major airline. I don't know if they've had any issues in the recent past, but it just shows you. So sometimes it's very hard to sell a product or service. And the 4th way is what the ultra rich do, which is they put other people to work for them. Now, there's in Durban, right? There's a famous restaurant called George's Grill House. And George's Grills are always packed. Every time I go there, it's always packed full of people. Not necessarily wealthy people, but just on Sunday nights, even during the week, sometimes on Thursday, Wednesday night, people are still out there, as you say in South Africa, jolling, drinking, enjoying. But the thing is, this one rich guy who owns that or owns the franchise, and he employs 30, 40 waiters to deal with all that and kitchen staff. So the wealthy person is putting the people to work for them. Anyway, it doesn't matter where you are on the level, whether you sell products, sell your information, give up your time for money, or you put other people to work for you, At the end of the day, so long as you take your money, you put it in a place where it can earn a little bit of an interest on it, and you live off less than that, that's all you need to know about setting a budget. Don't worry about fancy little plans, fancy little schedules. None of that is important. It's a simple, principle-based way to live. And with that, you should be ultra wealthy. Why not? If this video helped you, this ain't an outro. And, this ain't an outro, so what can I say?